slides, and my slides are prepared in such a way that it is about 90% what the book contains. 90% what the book contains, right? Yeah, so I'll be forwarding it. But if you wait for some time, it doesn't come, please draw my attention. Remind me about the slide, because we are doing so many things at a time. So sometimes you tend to forget a few other things. And so you keep reminding me. I would want to start pending my 15 minutes break. All right. If it becomes necessary that I take that 15 minutes break, I'll get all of you informed that I'm going on that break. It can come at any time because of what I told you. So I'll come back, be with you, and maybe take another 15 minutes break. All right. So how many do I have here? How many of you? It's now 11:40. I'm supposed to start at 11:30. You are only 5. So I have is it Cedric? I have Nyame, I have Ebenezer, and I have Adzima. I remember Adzima so well, yeah. And Vanessa is now a household name because she was coordinating. Can we have some other people joining? They are not aware of the class. Or they are used. And then I expect them to be here. Okay. Okay. So let's start because I'll break and go and come. So if you don't start wanting to wait for them, we don't know when they are joining, and I may not know when my 15 minutes break will start. But the mind is starting, I'll tell you. Okay, so this is regional geography of West Africa. In fact, I always forget the course code because we teach it at different levels, in different programs. So we have 16 hours in all, and we have 4 meetings, 4 hours each. The first chapter, which is chapter 1, is on the location and size of West Africa. Location and size of West Africa. It has a number of other things. It is not only the location, it's not only the size. It has a number of other things that will come on board. So I'm going to start with you the location of West Africa. The location of West Africa. As the name implies, we have 7 continents, So Africa is one of the continents. Therefore, if you have a place which is in West Africa, it means first it is on the West African continent. It's on the African continent. Then, if you segregate Africa into blocks using the cardinals, you have West Africa. That is where the place about whose geography we are learning can be found. So that is where it is found at the western part of Africa. All right. In given location geography, we talk about latitudinal location and longitudinal location. The two, latitudinal location and longitudinal location. Take note that in given latitudinal location, we use north and south. Latitudes are measured with the equator at the equidistant or at the starting point. So any latitude that lies on top of the equator, it is lying to the northern part of the equator. Any latitude that lies down south the equator, it is the southern part of the equator. So I'm going to give you the latitudinal, longitudinal location of West Africa. It is, I'm giving you the latitudes first. 4 degrees north all the way up to 24 degrees north. 4 degrees north all the way up to 24 degrees north. That is where we can find West Africa, meaning that if you are at the equator, up 4 degrees, then we continue the way to 24 degrees. Then we are going to the left and right. And here we're talking about longitudes. Longitudes are measured with the prime meridian as the starting point. And so they are laid either to the left or right of the prime meridian, the Greenwich meridian. Therefore, we code them either in east or in west. So take note of the latitudes. They are all north. Okay, 4 degrees north to 24 degrees north. It is not the same for the longitude. Longitude, we have 15 degrees west to 20 degrees east. Geographers are aware that any location given in the west is always to the left. Any location given in the east is always to the right. So if you divide the equator from north to south using the prime meridian, 20 degrees from the prime meridian, the West African sub-region will end there. And then 15 degrees to the left, the West African sub-region is also there. So those are the latitudinal coordinates. Given this coordinate, we refer to it as absolute location. Absolute location. All right. Now, another thing about location of West Africa is that it is somebody's microphone is on. You know what I mean? Another thing about the location of West Africa is that it is down south the Sahara to a large extent. It is a sub-Saharan sub-region, okay? And it is within the African bulge. You see, Africa, if you sketch the map, you see a certain bulge, all right? That is to the left. You see that bulge over there. The part that looks more like chicken thigh, okay? And by this, you have to learn how to sketch the map of West Africa. Very important. I have to make that clear before I continue. You should know how to sketch the map of West Africa. And so that bulge, that place, that point where it looks more like Africa, it makes Africa look like chicken thigh, is a bulge. So in that corner, that is where you find West Africa. So in a nutshell, that is all about the location of West Africa. First, it is found in the western part of Africa. Number two, it is found 4 degrees north to 24 degrees north and 15 degrees west to 20 degrees east. And then it is found in sub-Saharan part of Africa in the West African bulge. Bulge is B-U-L-G-E. That is by way of location. We will look at the size of West Africa. The size of West Africa. How big is your subcontinent? West Africa occupies 1/5 of Africa. Meaning, if you divide Africa into 5 equal parts, West Africa alone will have 1. I am hammering on this because Africa has been segmented. We have Southern Africa, we have East Africa, we have Central Africa, we even have North Africa. So if you take them block by block this way, West Africa alone is 1/5 of the entire land size of Africa. That is in relative terms. Let's look at the absolute land size of West Africa. The size of West Africa. It is 6,138,008 square kilometers. 6,138,008. The and means 008. So it is 138,008 square kilometers. That is the land size of West Africa. That is the land size of us. These are all facts, so I need not talk much about them. And then we go still under size. We are looking at some of the largest countries and the smallest countries in West Africa. Largest countries, we have Niger. Niger, very big indeed. Niger is 1,226,994 square kilometers. 1,26994 square kilometers. That is 1.26 million plus kilometers, square kilometers. Then we have Mali. Mali is 1,240,185 square kilometers. That is the size of Mali. So 1.240,185 square kilometers. That is the size of Mali. And then we have Mauritania. Mauritania. That is 1,025,516 square kilometers. So if you look at these three alone, they are taking about 4 million out of the 6 million. About 4 million out of the 6 million. All right. About 3.4, 3.5 million of the total land size of West Africa. And so if you Google, which is easy to do, the map of West Africa, you will find these countries over there. I'll do my best to include the maps in the slide. If you Google, you'll find these countries. These are the largest countries in West Africa. I'm going to mention the smallest countries. The first one is known as our neighbor, Togo. Togo. Togo is 56,791 square kilometers. 56,791 square kilometers. Then we have Gambia. Gambia is 11,300 square kilometers. 11,300 square kilometers. And the last one is Cape Verde. Cape Verde. Cabo Verde, a Portuguese country. They speak Portuguese. Cape Verde is 4,030 square kilometers. 4030 square kilometers. Very tiny. And remember, Cape Verde is an island. All right. It's an island. So these are the issues to do with the size of West Africa. As I move, if you have any question, you drop it. Okay. Now let's tackle another aspect of chapter 1, which is known as islands. The islands that we have in West Africa. All right.
Please, Doc, I can't see you. I don't know if it's my network or you are not sharing.
No, I'm not sharing the screen. I mean, in fact, I got the information very late. So I've been told Vanessa, who was with me earlier, that I'll take 15 minutes break as we move on. When the time is due, I will announce. I'll come back and take another 15 minutes break. You know why? It is less than 30 minutes ago that I was informed about this course. The reason is that yesterday I had another course, Population and Development, final year, social studies. And so all along I was thinking that was the only course I was going to teach, only to be called by the monitor this morning, just this morning, less than 30 minutes ago, that I have a class with you. Before then, he had forwarded the link to me, but I never knew it was for a new course or a different course. And so I had a chat with him and I told him this. So it's a kind of impromptu thing. So maybe subsequently, I will try and do the sharing. But as I promised, I'll also try and bring you the slides, comprehensive one, so that we can follow the course. And that will happen not too long after the lesson. So those who just joined, that is the information. I may take 15 minutes break. anytime from now. I'll go, come back, continue with you, and take another 15 minutes break. All right. Oh, somebody's writing something. Okay, so let's continue. Right, I was going to mention the islands that we have in West Africa. West Africa has about 10 islands, and they are all located in the central Atlantic Ocean. All right, the ocean so close to West Africa is the Atlantic Ocean. Note that we have 4 other oceans, or 3 other major oceans, but America will recognize 4 more. So to them, they have 5, but to greater part of the world, there are only 4. Okay, we have the Pacific Ocean, we have the Atlantic, we have the Indian, and then we have the Arctic Ocean. They recognize Antarctica as an ocean. So the islands that we have in West Africa, surrounding West Africa, are 10. And a group of islands are known as archipelago. I hope you have heard of that word before. Archipelago. So we have 10 islands. They are all located in the central Atlantic Ocean, deep into the ocean. All right. And some of them are about 570 kilometers off the coast. So from the coast, from the beach to the island, or to some of them, it's about 570, very, very, very far. So they are not closer. That's why in some cases, or in most cases, you don't consider them. But in terms of proximity, they are closer to West Africa than any other part of the world. That is number 2 about the islands. Okay, if you put all the 10 of them together, they are occupying a land of about 4,000 square kilometers. And I hope you know how they came about. So very soon I'll be talking about their characteristics. Once they are in the middle of an ocean, it means that there is an outcrop of rock, or a certain part of the land is projecting beyond the surface of the ocean, because they cannot stay in the ocean. So them being an island means that a part of the land has projected beyond the surface of the ocean. All right. So that is that. Now let's look at their characteristics. They are fairly flat. Fairly flat. Let's say fairly, it means it is not too flat, neither is it too steep. They are fairly flat. And the reason is that time ago, that surface, the surface of the land, was washed by the ocean. And you know, water is capable of leveling every land. And so the surface of the land got leveled by the ocean in a way. So it is fairly flat. That is the first one. The second one, it is sandy. The islands are sandy. A volume of sand, so much of it. Why? Because the ocean is full of sand, silt. And therefore, for the ocean to wash, to level that surface, surely some of the sand will be left over there. That is why if you go to the beach, you find so much sand. Okay? Or is it, how do you call it? Yes, sand. Sand winning sand. But it looks more silty because the clay element would have been washed or dissolved. And so it is sandy. Then it is dry. Dry because the surrounding parts are wet. Therefore, if I am staying on a ground higher than the surrounding parts, surely I can only be dry. It is dry. It's not as wet as the rest of the ocean. Then it is generally rockier. Generally rockier. What it means is that if it is clay, if the surface were clay, in fact, if the whole island were clay, the ocean would have washed it. And so once it is an island, it means that it has rock all the way from the bottom to the top in a way, but the surface may be, covered by sand because of the activities of the ocean. And so it is rockier, because apart from rock, no other type of material can stand the might of the ocean. So it is rockier. And the last one is it has more vegetation, meaning that the sun there, just like our normal land, surely vegetation will grow. Somebody will ask, how did the plants get there for them to grow? Yes, seed disperser. It can be taken there by the wind. Birds can do it. Even the ocean itself can take the seeds there for them to sprout, germinate, and then grow. So I've given you about 5 characteristics of islands in West Africa. Okay. Now let's look at their examples of them. Some examples. I have mentioned Cape Verde. It is one of them. Cape Verde. Then we have one other known as Sal, S-A-L. Sal is an island. And then we have Boa, B-O-A. Boa is an island. We have Vista, V-I-S-T-A. Vista is also an island. And then we have Maya. Maya, M-A-I-A. Maya is an island. Somebody will ask you, who named them? Yes, you know, people explore. Don't forget, in your thoughts, you will learn about certain individuals who, you know, journey to Africa, like Marco Polos and so on. They will name it as they can refer to. And so these are the examples. These are islands in West Africa. Now, still under chapter 1, we're going to look at boundaries of West Africa. Boundaries of West Africa. Okay. So, the first boundary is to the north. The first boundary is to the north. At the northern part of West Africa, we have the Sahara Desert. Sahara Desert. That is why countries like Mali, Niger, all right, are all Sahelian countries. They share a border. They are entry points between the rest of West Africa and the desert. Okay, so the northern part is Sahara Desert. Then if you go to the east, the map at the back of the book has Cameroon. But Cameroon is not part of West Africa. Okay, so to the eastern part, it shares a border with Cameroon. It shares a border with Cameroon. Okay, then you go to the southern and western parts, the two together, because the south is more or less the same as the west. Over there, we have the Atlantic Ocean. Atlantic Ocean. All right. So take note of the borders of West Africa. And that means that on a sketch map of West Africa, you should be able to indicate these countries. And I will be sharing some of the past questions with you, just as I did for surveying. Okay. So that is it. Now let's go to another subheading known as countries at the various borders of West Africa. I've mentioned the borders, but which countries in West Africa are there along the borders? Okay, so I start from the west, the western part, where we have a greater number of the countries. Western part, we have Senegal. Senegal is on that part of West Africa. On the western part of West Africa, we have Gambia. Another country there is Guinea-Bissau. And the next country there is Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone. Then the southern part, don't forget I told you that the west and the south are together. They are all bounded by the Atlantic Ocean. Sierra Leone. Okay, the southern part, which is also known as the Gulf of Guinea. All right, the southern part of West Africa is also known as the Gulf of Guinea. So which countries are there? Liberia, Ivory Coast. Then a certain country, it starts with G and ends with A. That country is only a 5-letter country. So guess what that country is. When you get it, inform me. I'm going to the next country, Togo. We have Togo, we have Benin, and we have Omonaja. So these are the countries at the southern part of West Africa. Yes, who has gotten that name? The name of that country, it starts with G, ends with A. All right. That country is only a 5-letter name. It has only 5 letters. Vanessa.
That please, Ghana.
Okay. That's your own country, Ghana. A very dangerous name for that matter. A country that has everything but has nothing. All right. A country where everybody does what he pleases. A country where corruption is pervasive. A country where we care less about the development of that country as individuals. A country where everything is pushed onto the government. That's the country we are talking about, Ghana. All right, let's go to the north. The northern part of West Africa. Which countries are there? I mentioned them. 2 of them, yes. We have Mauritania. We have Niger. We have Mali. They are to the northern part. It means these countries share boundaries with the Sahara Desert. Now, if you go back to what I said earlier, when I was talking about the largest countries in West Africa, if you remember, these were the 3 countries that were mentioned. These were the 3 countries that were mentioned, not even Nigeria. Why are they the largest countries in West Africa? Anybody? Why? Why are these countries the largest countries? Vanessa?
Sir, please, when it comes to land size, you can't compare the land size of Mali, Niger to that of Nigeria. Nigeria is population that they have, but their land size cannot be compared to those countries in northern part of West Africa.
That is true, but why are those countries, those 3 countries, why are they very larger? So it's quite striking that all those 3 countries are to the northern part. Why? Why are they the largest? Nobody. Okay. They are largest.
Hello.
They are largest. Yeah. Noah.
Hello, sir. Yeah.
Yeah.
Please, I think it's because their lands are not fertile, so no one wants to inhabit the place.
To some extent, I'll give you some marks, but more.
Sir, they are. It's more of a desert area.
That's all. That's all. Who wants to stay on the desert? They themselves, the northern parts of those countries, they are not there. They don't stay there that much. They stay some distance away from the desert itself. So people like us, Ghanaians, people like Nigerians, people like Togolese, people like Beninois, all right, people like Ivorians decided not to stay there because we wanted a land that is fertile, a land that is not like the Sahara Desert, which was once upon a time a virgin forest. So anybody who will go there will by all means migrate. All right. But those who are resistant, those who are resilient are the ones who are there now. So country people didn't go there to own the land that much. So those who decided to stay had vast land unto themselves, constituting the countries that we mentioned. And that is why those countries are very, very huge in terms of size. I told you, they alone are taking about half of the entire land size of West Africa. Okay. Now, still on countries at the borders. There's one country that was never mentioned. In fact, I'm not done. I'm going to the eastern side where we have Nigeria and part of Niger. Niger is already to the north. Don't forget, but a part of it drifts into the east because of its size. So to the east, you have Nigeria and part of Niger. Now, there's a country that has not been mentioned so far, and that's our neighbor called Burkina Faso. You find that Burkina is not on any of the borders or any of the boundaries. And so Burkina is the heart. We refer to Burkina as the heartland of West Africa. Heartland, meaning Burkina stays right there in the center, the middle of West Africa. Okay, that is why if anything happens in Burkina, Ghanaians catch cold. Whatever they do there, it affects us directly. Now, this country called Burkina is not alone, because I'm going to mention a few other countries that share some characteristics with Burkina. And remember that even though Burkina is not sharing a border with the Sahara, it is one of the Sahelian countries, because Burkina now has been engulfed by the Sahara Desert so much. All right, so much. Okay, I also mentioned Cape Verde earlier, but it is stated that Cape Verde is an island, so it is not on any of the borders. It is not on any of the borders. I am going to mention countries known as landlocked countries. Landlocked countries. Landlocked countries, one word. Countries that are landlocked. When you say a country is landlocked, it means that country has no access to the ocean. Among the countries in West Africa, the only one that doesn't have any access to the ocean is, no, not only one. Those that do not have access to the ocean are 3 in number. We have Niger, we have Mali, and we have Burkina. So if you check the northern boundary, you see that Mauritania is not part of this arrangement. Burkina has come to replace Mauritania. These countries are known as landlocked countries because they do not have access to the ocean. And that is why some time ago, Togo, they were doing their ports in Ghana. In other words, their import-exports were done in Ghana. But because we were so hostile to them, by way of our taxation, they have now shifted to Togo. I'm talking about Burkina. All right. So those of us in Kumasi and around, sometimes you see very long cargo car, long one, and their cargo cars are longer than those that we use in Ghana. Very long. They come and rest right here in front of my school here, right here. Sometimes they take 3 days, very long. And their cars, when they load there, is more than ship, heavily loaded. Not ever. And it's all because they will take their imports from Accra, and then, you know, Accra doesn't give you any access to Burkina. So you have to journey deep into the country, pass through Konongo all the way then to the north. So they pass through Kumasi. So these countries are landlocked countries. Mali, Niger, Burkina. They are landlocked countries. They have no access to the ocean. Okay. Now, still on chapter 1, we're looking at international languages in West Africa. So we're going to group the international languages we have in West Africa according to the countries that speak them. There are 3 major international languages in West Africa. 3 major. Okay. So we have countries that are known as Anglophone countries. They speak English, or English is their official language. We have countries that are known as Francophone countries. They speak French, or French is their official language. And we have countries that are Portuguese. They speak Portuguese, or Portuguese is their official language. Don't forget, these people also came to Ghana, the Portuguese. They were here. They were, in fact, the first people to arrive here in Ghana. Okay, so let's start with the Anglophone countries, countries that have English as their official language. The first one is Nigeria. The second one is Gambia. The third one is a certain nation. It starts with G and ends with A. The fourth one is Sierra Leone. The fifth one is Liberia. These countries speak English. If you check well, you see that these are the very countries that form WAEC. So if you hear WAEC, West African Examination Council, is made up of these 5 countries, all English-speaking countries. Okay. Then we go to the Francophone countries. We have Benin. We have Togo, Niger, Ivory Coast, Burkina Faso, Guinea, Senegal, Mali, and Mauritania. So Francophone countries are more than Anglophone countries in West Africa. Francophone countries are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are 9 in number. So if you add a 9 to the 5 Anglophone, you get 14. Left with 2, because there are 16 nations in West Africa. So the 2 are Portuguese-speaking countries. The first one is Guinea-Bissau. They speak Portuguese. The second one is Cape Verde, Cabo Verde, Cape Verde. They also speak Portuguese. All right, so these are the international languages that we have in West Africa. It doesn't mean we don't have other languages. As you know, Ghana, we have so many other languages, local ones, but officially, English is our language. The problem we are having is that we say English is our language, but not everybody can speak a certain level of English. And that is why communication is becoming an issue. Not too long ago, there was a tussle on social media between Asante and Ga, because a certain inscription had been changed at the airport and at the Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum, the welcome symbol. And then the Obake was the Obake. You understand? To me, it is null and void. Nothing of the sort should happen. Let us stick to English. Much as my verdict or my opinion is that much as I'm not bothered by any inscription over there, to me, if Akwaba was not an issue when it was there, if Obake or Obake is there, it shouldn't also be an issue. I hope you understand me. Akwaba has been there all this while. And so if somebody says, okay, now let's change it to Obake, you can even change it to my language, Sefi. Should anybody be bothered? It shouldn't. So Akwaba has been there for so long for Akans, not Ashantis. Sometimes people forget that Akan language is not only Ashanti. All right. We have 18 Akan tribes. 18. One is Ashanti, one is Fante, one is Akwamu, one is Kou, one is Achim. All right. One is Sefi, my language. One is Aumin, one is Nzima. We have Ahanta, we have Fante, we have Asin. And even we have one Akan group in the north, known as Chokwase. So 18 tribes. 18. Therefore, Akwaba, I don't know of the other languages, but I can speak for no less than 10 of the Akan tribes, Akan languages, that they also have Akwaba as a language for welcome. My language, we say Akwaba. All right. So if Akwaba is there, I'm not bothered. The same way, if they bring Obake, I shouldn't be bothered. You get a point. So it should be 50-50. If it has been changed, fine. If it is there as Akwaba, fine. If it is there as Obake, fine. To get to the time you say, let's bring, let's say, Grusi or Sisala or Frafra, those ones that are written. Let's write any of them there. It will still answer the same question. It's a national edifice. So you can decide whichever one to write over there. In fact, Kwame Nkrumah gave us 6 languages that are supposed to be written and spoken. Kwame Nkrumah gave us that. Okay. Well, at a point, there was some level of nepotism because Nzima is an Akan language, but he gave us Akan for all the other Akans, and then he also gave us Nzima. Those of you who are a bit old, you remember Ghana Broadcasting Corporation on GBC, and they used to speak 6 languages. One of them was Nzima, one of them was Akan, comprising the other 17 tribes. All right. So had it not been that he himself was an Nzima, I don't think he would have separated Nzima. He would have put Nzima into the Akan, but he did. So it doesn't change anything. Anyway, so those are the languages. Let's move on. I'm going to the next subheading, still on chapter 1, known as Interesting Facts about West Africa. Interesting facts. Facts about West Africa. I have about 6 facts here about West Africa. Okay, now let's run through them. Facts about West Africa. Interesting ones, 6 of them. 1, Islam. And I hope you know Islam, which began somewhere in the 7th or 2nd century. Islam is the major religion in West Africa, with more than half of the population being Muslims. So that's a fact. Why? Because most of the countries in West Africa are dominated by Muslims. Cote d'Ivoire is not an Islamic country, but they have a sizable number of Muslims there. Even Ghana, we have 17% of our population being Muslims. Then places like Mauritania, Mali, Senegal, Burkina Faso, even Nigeria, northern part of Nigeria, all of them are Muslims. Okay, Mali, 100% or so Muslims. Senegal, over 80-85% Muslims. Mauritania, like that. And that is why West Africa is Islam dominated. That's the first fact. The second fact, we're talking about cities. Cities in West Africa. Largest cities. Largest cities in West Africa. 1, Lagos in Nigeria. 2, Abidjan in Ivory Coast. 3, Accra in a certain country. Accra in a certain country. You know that country. Very, very, very dangerous. Then we have Abuja in Omanaja. And then we have Kumasi in a certain country. Well, Kumasi is here as a second city in Ghana because the writer of the book is an Akan, is an Ashanti. So to say, because if you check, you see that most of the countries here, cities are capital cities, or once upon a time, capital city. Once upon a time, Lagos was the capital city of Nigeria. Abidjan was the capital city of Ivory Coast, and so on. So those are the largest cities in West Africa, according to the manuscript, the book, the course book. And if you care to know, it is the same book that the sandwich student, in fact, your courses are the same as theirs. The same teachers, the same coordinators, the same book. Okay. Now I'm going to the third one. Third one is still about that country. West Africa is home to Lake Volta. In other words, Lake Volta is in West Africa. And why Lake Volta? Lake Volta, the country where Lake Volta is found, that country is not serious. Either than that, Lake Volta should play a major role in their tourism. Why? Because among all the lakes, the big ones and so on and so on and so on that we have in Ghana, that in West Africa, no, in the world, not Ghana, in West Africa. Did I say West Africa? In the world. In the world. Among all the lakes, all of them, Lake Victoria, Lake Tanganyika, whatever. This lake I mentioned, known as Lake Volta, which is in a certain country, is the largest artificial lake by surface area. I repeat, not by depth, but by merely the surface area. You stand close to the lake, you look at it, how vast it is. If you use that one, that lake is the largest artificial. Listen to the word artificial. And that is why Kwame Nkrumah will never, ever, ever die in Ghana. Because all the good things, all the fine things that we boast of. See, he was, that guy was our Messiah, earthly Messiah. Having been able to create something that only God can create. A lake, river. And it is the largest. So that is the third fact. Number 4, me, if you touch Kwame Nkrumah, you have touched me. I just like the man. Number 4. The region known as West Africa is the world's largest producer of cocoa. True or false? It is true. West Africa, up to today, is the largest producer of cocoa, Chibroma cacao. Now listen to the other facts. That same point. With Ivory Coast as the leading producer and a certain country as the second leading producer. And you see, if you have all these and you are still who you are as Ghana, hey, look, the credentials of Ghana, even the developed countries are envious of us. They don't have them. I just mentioned that the largest artificial lake in the world is in West Africa. And the name of that country that hosts it is your own country. Let's assume that, or had it been in an advanced country, you know how they would have, sold this lake, popularized it for people to go on tourism over there. Ghana, we also have the Greenwich Meridian passing through Tema. All right? That's another thing which we don't even mention in our tourism rendition. Ghana is the center of the world. Huge status. Well, Nyankopon Adia Nyankopon ayama Ghana no. Well, meaning say why be a moment be a if a man be in Ghana, that Oman is in Ghana because they have had leaders, they have had people, they have had humans who have led them, and they have had humans as citizens. The two of us, they actually forget to. We are Yawakra in this country. Because what at all don't we have? Again, you mentioned it. To the extent that all the abstract things, the 3 things that I mentioned, or even the 2, God has given it to us. He placed Ghana on the Greenwich Meridian, which determines the time that every part of the world will have. It passes through Tema and then it goes through London. So we are on the same meridian, longitude 0 degrees with London. This one alone is a huge tourism potential. So tell me who has been popularizing it? No. I also mentioned that Ghana is the center of the world. I'm not saying the center of the world is right here in Ghana, but the center is in the Atlantic Ocean. If you pick your map and check, you see that the center of the world is determined by the meeting point of longitude 0 degrees and latitude 0 degrees. That point is in the Atlantic Ocean, that meeting point. But Ghana is closer to that point than any other country or territory in the world. And in fact, that place is even our land. Don't forget, your land is not only the hard one that you walk on. In international circles, your land extends some kilometers into the ocean. And your land also includes the space up there over your head, the sky. All right. So you determine what you want to do in your sky. Therefore, if anybody wants to come and fool with aircraft, whatever, you have every right to deal with the person. So that point where the longitude 0 degrees and latitude meet, where the two meet, Ghana is closer to that point than any other country in the world. So far in my 40-something years on this planet. It is only one person that I have heard, a popular one for that matter, use the center of the world, which is Ghana, for anything meaningful. And he's a musician, not Lumba. There's a man or a musician by name Nat Brew. In recent times, referred to him as Amanziba. When Ghana was going to host Can 2008, if you remember, Can 2008 under Rollins, that's the African Cup of Nations. He was contracted to compose some song. You know, competitions come with jingles and songs. So he composed a song, and in there he mentioned that. If I should give you that line, he mentioned all the countries. Africa is calling unto his children to gather, to share passion at the center of the world. Opa, and you need in the or my hair Africa, or simply Africa. You can Google, you can YouTube it and check. But it's a line. At the center of the world. They were all coming together to share passion, and the passion was football at the center of the world. He was referring to Ghana. All right. So we have interesting fact. Let me go ahead with the interesting fact. I've given you that of the cocoa. Let me talk about human settlers. Archaeological records show that human settlers began populating West Africa around 12,000 BC. So this land called West Africa has been populated long ago, 12,000 BC. If you know how the BC and AD work, BC, they were subtracting the years. So anytime a year ended, they subtracted. So if you choose to say, okay, from now all the way going, we are starting from 12,000, for example. So to this year is 12,000 BC. Next year will be 11,999 BC. The following year will be 11,998 year BC or BC, and so on. So they were subtracting. But in this current world, after the death of Christ, after the resurrection of Christ, 2025 means AD, after the death of Christ or the resurrection of Christ. We rather add. So when a year ends, we add it to the previous. So we were in 2024. It ended and we added it to the next one. So we are now in 2025. If 2025 ends, you add the coming year and you give us 2026. So West Africa was populated around 12,000 BC. The next fact, I'm talking about the oldest civilization. The oldest civilization in West Africa was the Nok culture. Nok, N-O-K, capital N-O-K. Nok culture, capital N-O-K. All right, which first appeared around 1000 BC. Remember, we settled there.
Please, I can't hear the sound. Is it coming from my end?
The same applies to me here.
And me too.
My line went off. Sorry. I'll be taking my break in the next 5 minutes. I told you I'll go on 15 minutes break. You remember? So I'll be taking that break in the next 5 minutes. So that is the oldest civilization. And the last fact is common crops that are grown in West Africa. Common crops. We have peanuts. We have coffee. we have rice, we have cotton, we have cassava. These are the common crops grown in West Africa. So you pardon me because I've told you already that I'll be going on such a break. If you remember, yeah. When I am back, we shall be looking at empires in Ghana, how you were governed in West Africa some time ago. All right. So pardon me, let me take the 15 minutes break. Thank you very much.
Yes, are you done with unit chapter 1?
No, not yet. We are yet to finish. So
Okay.
I'll be back. We shall look at the empires when I'm back. So please,
Okay.
you can hang on and do your private discussion, or you can take a break, 15 minutes. Please rejoin. I beg. Okay. Yeah, hello. Is everybody there? Hey, Obiako.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, you are there.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'll add about 10 minutes more to it. The break will start in 10 minutes. So let's start. As I said, it came as an impromptu thing. I never knew about it. So pardon me. Okay, so we are now on historical development of West Africa. Historical development of West Africa. Okay. Now, the historical development has been divided into two. We have the pre-colonial period and the colonial period. The pre-colonial and colonial period. Okay, so the pre-colonial period is the period where before our colonizers came. Our colonizers were the British and the people that we know. So before they came, how were we governed? How were we staying? How were we living our lives to a large extent? Note that before the Europeans came, West Africa was living along the lines of chiefdoms, along the lines of kingdoms, and along the lines of empires. Today, they are still there. But today, politics has taken over because as a whole, we are governed by politics before the various kingdoms will come. And so in Ghana, if I should use Ghana as an example, we have chiefdoms where a chief will be the ruler of a community, big or small. Then if you put all the chiefs together or the communities together, they form a paramountcy. They form a paramountcy. All right. So a paramountcy will be headed by a paramount chief. So Ghana, we have a paramount chief over here, or we have paramount chiefs over here. Then when paramount chiefs come together, they form a kingdom. That is why there's now a contention between the Domahine and Asantehene as to whether we have a king in Ghana, blah, 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 and so on. Well, the explanation I'm giving to you should tell you what the situation is. I have said that we have chiefdoms ruled by chiefs. So when chiefs come together, they form a paramountcy ruled by a paramount chief. In our context, Ghana, when paramount chiefs come together, they form a kingdom ruled by a king. And when kingdoms come together, they form an empire. So by the arrangement, if you go up north, the Yanes and so on, they have the same arrangement. They have paramount chiefs who serve them. Asante King, Asante has paramount chiefs, about 40 something of them. I've forgotten the number. So many of them serving under him. And so should anybody tell you that he's a king, what probably I will agree with people on is that once you say a king, it means he has an area where he governs alone. All right. But in Ghana, we don't have that arrangement. Once you govern alone, it means you are the final authority in the country, nobody else. But you know, Ghana, we have a president who governs the whole country. So on that score, maybe I will understand those who are disputing that Asante Hene is not the king. But if you go by the structures in his dominion, he has paramount chiefs who serve him. So he's a king. You understand? So I've given you, we are looking at empires. Before they came, we moved from chiefdom to paramount chiefs, all right, to kingdoms, to empires. So we are looking at 3 empires in Ghana. And to those of you who have been deceived that the name Ghana was suggested by a certain J.B. Dankwa, the fact I'm going to tell you will disprove that. All right, so there were 3 empires during the pre-colonial period in West Africa, 3 of them. The first one was known as the Ancient Ghana Empire. Ancient Ghana Empire. It was the first to be established in West Africa. Now, this empire, when was it established? AD 300, just 300 years after Jesus Christ died. We are 2025 years after the death of Jesus Christ. 2025 years after the death of Jesus Christ. Out of that, 300 of them, first 300, the Ghana Empire was born. All right. And a group, a clan, and I hope you know clan. A clan known as Soninke clan was the one that established the empire, meaning they put together all the paramountcies, the kingdoms, everybody, and formed one group called empire. Now, once they formed an empire, it means they had an emperor. And so their emperor, which is, if you get a book, that fact is not in, but it's here. Their emperor was known as Cisse. C-I-S-S-E. C-I-S-S-E. Somebody will ask, where was the ancient Ghana Empire? Where was it? The ancient Ghana Empire had its capital at a place known as Kumbi Sale. Kumbi Sale. Tienio. Kumbi Sale. Kumbi Sale today is in Mauritania. So if you pick the West African map, check where Mauritania is. That was where the ancient Ghana Empire had its capital. All right? That was where the ancient Ghana Empire had its capital. Now, from this capital, this empire expanded to engulf a place like Mali. So if you check, you see that Mali is close to Mauritania. All right. Then it also expanded to engulf a place like Senegal. In other words, there was an expansion. Because they became powerful and were able to conquer territories. So these 2 territories, or this location, was where the ancient Ghana Empire was situated. All right. Now, why don't we have the empire still? Why is it not there? It is not there. It got defeated in a battle. It is not there because there was a battle that empire got defeated. And so, unlike today, if you were a chief, you were supposed to conquer people. So you were taking your people on war. You were leading them on war. So you go and fight. So in the ancient Ghana Empire, a group came attacking us. And the group was known as the Madinka tribe. Madinka. Remember, the clan that established Ghana, ancient Ghana, was the Soninke. Then another tribe by name Madinka came to attack the empire. And that happened in 1240 AD. 1240. So from 300 to 1240, you can calculate how long the empire stayed. So in that battle, in that war, which was fought at a place known as Karina, the ancient Ghana Empire was defeated. And once you are defeated, that is the end of you. Now you will find later that those who defeated Ghana were the ones who established the second empire that we shall be talking about very soon. All right. So these Madinka people who defeated Ghana in the Battle of Karina in AD 1240 were led by a man by name Prince Sundiata Keita. Prince Sundiata Keita. He led his people. Prince Sundiata Keita. They defeated Ghana. And that is why the ancient Ghana Empire is not there. Now, let me also give you this fact that the name Ghana wasn't even the name of the area where that empire was. It was a title. I repeat, it was a title they gave to their kings. So I told you a king must go to war. If you return from war victorious, all right, if you conquered somebody at the war, they gave you the title Ghana, Ghana, Ghana. And the name Ghana means warrior king, a king that was warrior, king that was always at the war front, warrior king. So eventually that place became known as Ghana. All right. Now, what were some of the attributes of this empire called Ghana? Number one, the empire called Ghana was powerful. And so it was able to conquer some territories. It expanded to engulf Senegal, Mali, remember. Now, what other things prove that it was powerful? There is something called trade routes. Trade routes. I don't know how to explain trade route to you. Today, you see, if you're in Kumasi, you can say, I'm going to Mankasim to go and bring fish. The road from Mankasim, from Kumasi to Mankasim is a route. It's a trade route. You can say, I'm going to Accra to go and bring A, B, or C. The road from Kumasi to Accra is a trade route. Like that. So any road that leads to a major business commercial center is a route. So in the olden days, they also had something like that. This was known as the Trans-Saharan trade route. Trans-Saharan trade route. This empire known as Ghana was powerful because at the peak, it was able to control this trade route. And what does that mean? It's just like here to Kumasi, sorry, to Mankasim. Then somebody says, that road is mine. I control it. I decide whether you use the road or you don't use it. And so before I allow you to cross it, you have to pay A, B, or C. That was what they were doing. When Pierre, I will let you go back or I'll beat you up. I will not even let you go. Okay, so when you say you are controlling trade route, that was what they did. Sometimes they were taking money. Other times they were taking some of the goods. It got to a point they were even taking slaves. All right, so that anytime I get there, you allow me to pass. Ghana controlled the trans-Saharan trade. Number two, Ghana controlled massive gold deposit. And I'll tell you pretty soon why Kwame Nkrumah chose the name Ghana. Ghana controlled massive gold deposit. At that place, Kumbisale and those places that we mentioned, currently Mauritania, it was full of gold. No wonder Burkina also has gold, because they are all around the same area. Okay, it was full of what? Gold. And so Ghana was in control of the gold that was the gold deposit. You could only control gold then if you were powerful, because once people see there's gold, they will come and fight you and take it away. But if you know I'm powerful, you will not come. The next thing that the ancient Ghana Empire was able to do was that it grew to become wealthy, rich, powerful. No, I'll give you 3 things that show that Ghana was powerful. It was able to expand its territories. It controlled the trans-Saharan trade, and then it controlled massive gold deposits, all under the powerful Ghana. Then I'm talking about the wealth of Ghana. Ghana wealthy, rich. 2 things. 1, what showed that Ghana was wealthy? 1, the streets. The streets of the ancient Ghana Empire were paved with gold. Today, we pave our street with blocks and concrete and bitumen. You understand? But then time, they were paving their streets with gold. Can you imagine? Say, streets in there down here, the gold and a tile. That was the ancient Ghana Empire. Number three, one thing that showed that they were rich was that the Emperor Sisi, he routinely tied pure gold nuggets to the neck of his horse. If you want to or he no na udi no ponko horse ya ponko. Enti ewumwa okofa gold, pure gold 24 carats. No they have to ponko kon keke. No ordinary yachia gold. And all of this to prove that the ancient Ghana Empire was what? Wealthy. All right. So that is all about the ancient. But I told you, I'll tell you why Kwame Nkrumah chose Ghana. The name was there originally. So those of you who have been taught or have been told or are teaching that J.B. Dankwa was the one who suggested the name, it's a lie. The name was there. I've given you the date. AD 300 was the time the Ghana Empire was established. And when did Kwame Nkrumah come onto the scene? 1947, that way. No, so it couldn't have been J.B. Dankwa. The name was there. Now, the reason Kwame Nkrumah chose Ghana were 2 things. 2, that the land we occupy now called Ghana, now, this current Ghana, has gold, plenty. And you bear testimony. And if you care to know, Ghana is the leading producer of gold in Africa at the moment. Not South Africa. It isn't South Africa, it is Ghana. And Ghana is the number 6 leading producer of gold in the world. So Kwame Nkrumah realized that the land we occupied, or we are occupying, was full of gold, similar to the ancient Ghana Empire. No, street, the gold in the area and so on. Similar to that. Again, Kwame Nkrumah realized that, because he was a historian, Kwame Nkrumah, he realized that the people who were in the ancient Ghana Empire were hospitable, were welcoming, were nice people, were good people. All right? They were people who entertained visitors. And we realized that the people in Ghana, in Gold Coast then, modern day Ghana, were also hospitable. And one thing nobody can take away from Ghanaians is our hospitality. Nobody can take that one away from us. So based on these two, Kwame Nkrumah said, okay, why don't we adopt this ancient name called Ghana? And indeed, he adopted it. Later, people said Ghana means God had appointed Nkrumah already. That's how people call Ghana. But the meaning of Ghana is what I have given you. All right. And that will end the ancient Ghana Empire. Any questions so far? Now, from there, we have the second empire, because I told you that Prince Sundiata Keita led his people. If you remember, he led the Madinka people to come and beat us. So the next empire we're going to talk about is the Mali Empire. Mali. Remember, I told you that the ancient Ghana Empire expanded to include parts of Mali. and Senegal. So these people, the Mandinka people, were coming from Mali. They attacked the Ghana Empire in Mauritania, then time defeated them. So if I defeat you, I take over all your properties and make them mine and make myself a king. So they established the Mali Empire when the ancient Ghana Empire was defeated. Now, the Mali Empire was founded in the middle of the 13th century. Middle. So if you check, you see that the 13th century means 1240 thereabouts. That was when the Mali Empire was founded. Remember, the battle was 1240 AD. And 1240 is 13th century. The 40 is somewhere in the middle. So that is the Mali Empire. Second thing about Mali Empire is that the man whose name I mentioned, Prince Sundiata Keita. Prince Sundiata Keita was the founder of the Mali Empire. All right. Now, the third thing is that Mali Empire also expanded, because if you're a king, you have to lead your people to war. So they also fought and expanded their territories. Okay. They expanded it more and more into Senegal, more and more into Niger. Okay. Like that. And that was what they did. Number 4. They also, because if you remember, I told you that ancient Ghana controlled the trans-Saharan trade. Because they overthrew us, they also inherited that thing. So they also came to control the trans-Saharan trade. And they also controlled the gold mines, the Mali Empire. Okay. Now, another thing they did, the Mali Empire did, was that they created a centralized state. A centralized state where they had one specific place, one specific location for their emperor. That's a central. When you say you have a centralized state, it means all your leaders are located at one place where you can easily locate them. Ghana, our leaders are in Accra. So they did the same thing. Because in Ghana, as a king, you were not at one place. You were always moving, trying to conquer. But here, because they had gotten so much space, territory, he could stay at one place and order his people to go and fight. Okay. Now, because they created this centralized state, trade, that's the next point, trade boomed in ancient Mali. Trade boomed in ancient Mali. The next fact is that there was a man by Kankan Musa, by name Kankan Musa the First. If you have heard of Kankan Musa, Kankan Musa was a citizen of the Mali Empire. He was rich. He was a businessman. He funded a university at Timbuktu. So today, if you hear the University of Timbuktu, this is the origin. And the founder was Kankan Musa. He funded, when you say you fund, it means you pushed money into bringing it into existence. He funded a university at Timbuktu. Even at that time, 1240, 1250, 1260, 12, whatever, that time, there was a university at Timbuktu, somewhere in Mali. Okay. Then again, another thing this empire did. I'm talking about, yeah.
Please,
Vanessa.
the Kank is different from the Mansa Musa that we know.
It's the same person.
Okay.
Kanka Musa. All right. So another thing they did today. You hear free this, free that. It didn't start today. They say there's nothing new under the sun. There is nothing new. So listen to where the free started from. Way back 1240 AD. We are in 2025 AD. There was free healthcare for the citizens of the Mali Empire. Free healthcare. Can you imagine? 1240, 1250, 1260. Free healthcare for the citizens of the Mali Empire. That's another thing they did. The next thing they did was that still on free. Today we are talking about free SHS, free this, free that. It didn't start today. There was free education for the citizens of ancient Mali Empire. So, there was free education for the citizens of the ancient Mali Empire. So these are things about the Mali Empire. Take note of them. All right, let's conclude with the Songhai Empire. The Songhai. That will be the third one. So the Mali Empire was defeated by the Songhai Empire. Remember. All right. So the Songhai Empire, which is the third empire to be established, was established by a man known as Sunni Ali. And the Songhai Empire came between 1375 and 1591. 1375 to 1591. All right. Sunni Ali was from Gao. Today, Uti Gao Fwa. He was from Gao. He was a Gao person. Okay. And so the Songhai is inheriting ancient Ghana, ancient Mali. So obviously it will become what? Big, and became the largest empire in West Africa. All right. Now the capital of this empire was at Gao, as I mentioned. Okay, so the Gao stretched to the northern part of that empire. They also expanded. They went to Nigeria. They covered the western part of Niger, and it became big. Okay. Now, they also didn't stay. They couldn't maintain it. And so in 1591, a man from Morocco by name Ahmad al-Mansur, when I bring you the slides, you see it. He was a sultan. When you see sultan, it's more or less like a king in their area then. Ahmad al-Mansur, he went with his people into the Songhai Empire and engaged them in war and defeated them in 1591. So that empire also got collapsed. All right. But let's look at a few things the empire did. They were able to do. Number one, they created a civil service. You know, civil service. I think the offices. Civil service. They said this assembly health for year or education for like that. That is what we call the civil service. They were there. They created that. And they also appointed provincial governors. They said they were DCs and so on. They also did the same as at that time, 1591. Then they also subsidized. As for them, they didn't do free education. But because they were all Muslims, they subsidized the education of Muslims. So if you wanted to be a judge, if you wanted to be a doctor, if you wanted to be a professor, academician, they reduced your admission fee or your academic fee. That was another thing they did. And so by the 16th century, by the 16th
So please,
century,
but it didn't extend to the non-Muslims.
no, only Muslim scholars, Muslim judges, Muslim doctors.
Okay.
You get it? Only them. Because look, even up to today, Mali is about 95% Muslims. Yeah. And so by the 16th century, where you used to have the University Timbuktu, remember that Timbuktu is now a part of it because they inherited Ghana and then Mali. So Timbuktu became a commercial city, big one. And they had about 100,000 residents, all right, over there in Timbuktu. And they also had another university at a place. The name sounds familiar, Papa in Ghana. They also established a university at a place known as Sankore. Sankore is here. Sankore. In that university, they had 25,000 scholars. 25,000 scholars. 25. In a nutshell, Songhai Empire. No. Let me run by you quickly through the colonial time. I think we are time and now they are here. They have colonized us. So what did they bring? What are they bringing? Okay. Now, it started from a certain king. The colonialism started from a certain king known as King Leopold of Congo. King Leopold of Belgium. This king was a Belgian king. Now, this king had interest in one of our countries called Congo, which is not in West Africa. So in 1879, this king had that interest because Congo is full of minerals. Very interest. So what did he do? He sent his people to go. In fact, the letter that he wrote for them to come, the letter has been published now. At the appropriate time, I'll read that letter for you to hear. So when he was sending his people, he told them, you are not going to have the people, you are going to what? Siphon their resources. So he brought them. Okay. Now, after he had that interest, other Europeans also got the interest. So they came down to partition Africa. Onuna nya Congo, wanya bebre nti aya nkofo bi nso ani so. Omo so ba bepe bi. And so let's listen to how they came or the areas in Africa that they took. Togo and parts of Cameroon went to Germany. Togo and parts of Cameroon went to Germany. Guinea-Bissau, Cape Verde, Principe, and Sao Tome went to Portugal. Gambia, Sierra Leone, Gold Coast, which is now Ghana, and Nigeria went to Great Britain. The Sahel, you know the Sahel, Mauritania, Mali, Niger. They are the Sahel. Gabon, Congo, and part of Cameroon. Remember, Yadika Cameroon da. But Cameroon, we have Francophone and Anglophone. And a part of Cameroon also went to France. That is the Francophone side. Okay. And then Equatorial Guinea went to Spain. They divided Africa. They divided Africa among themselves. Now, this division that they have done, all right, was confirmed. Okay. They went for a meeting and they confirmed that, okay, what's what for higher the amount? The Berlin Conference, there was a conference in Berlin, 1884 to 1885. Conference spanning by 1 year. Conference they actually one week. 1 week or 2 weeks. Thank you upon. We Brosa from 84 to 85, 1884 to 85. That was when they published that, okay, I have taken this, that. I have taken that. Then the conference agreed that, okay, take those territories and make them your own. The Berlin Conference. The Berlin Conference. Okay. And so later, the First World War came in 1914 and Germany was defeated. So it was more or less like they were now weakened. Okay. Now, because they were weakened, there were changes. They had to relinquish Togo. Remember, I said Togo went to Germany. So in the First World War, Germany was weakened until they had to Eswati. So France took over Togo, and that is why Togo is Francophone today. Cameroon was divided. Cameroon. Nanka Cameroon, France, French. But because Anwadini Bisan, now Britain also came to take a part of Cameroon. What I say? So these are things that they did in West Africa. And we have still colonial things to talk about. Let's look at how they governed. How did they govern? Let's look at how they governed. And let's look at some of the things they took away. They took away gem and gold. They developed the gold mines and took our gold away. They also brought civilization as part of what they wanted us to do. They introduced what we call labor-intensive plantation. So they were the ones who started plantation agric. The Europeans, cocoa plantation, coffee, rubber, and so on. They brought that one. Okay. And they also did some infrastructure for us. Roads. So the Dakar-Bamako rail line is an example. They developed that one for us. Okay. But they didn't care about certain things. Our standard of living. Eh? Maybe a better, you sitting them say then they were only interested in the things I just mentioned. How did they even govern? I'm going to mention 3 countries and how they governed. France, the territories that he had, a combination of also a ruling territories. No? If you have heard of the policy of assimilation, have you heard of that? Assimilation policy. Meaning that
Yes.
if they colonize you, they made you a part of France. So you could become a citizen of France. You could become MP of France, but you have to say that you were no more African. That is why in France we have a number of Ivorians there. So they adopted a policy of assimilation. Policy of assimilation, a policy which made colonies a part of the colonial masters. Britain, no. They adopted a policy known as the indirect rule. Indirect rule. They were ruling our people, but they were not doing it directly. They were doing it through the chiefs. So the chief will go and take the instruction from the castle, Cape Coast Castle or Elmina Castle, and then the chief will go and disseminate it, because before they came, it were the chiefs who were governing the areas. So they wanted the chiefs to continue, but they were the ones who were giving the instructions. So they adopted the indirect rule. Britain. The last one is Spain. Spain there on Mediagro. They ruled their colonies with iron fist, or rod of iron. When you say you are ruling somebody with rod of iron, just say ujina so pampe unya ukonkra no wacha. Or shall so, even when you can't do what he wants you to do, he will force you to do it. So they force the people to do what they wanted them to do. So all these are things under chapter 1 and the end of chapter 1. Let me read chapter 1. Until I'll take a break, about 15 minutes. Makwaba. Please, you can do private discussion. I know some of you have made some notes. You can continue to discuss. You can also take a break yourself. About 15 minutes, please come back. If you come and I'm not there, don't worry. I'll surely join you. I hope that is clear. All right. So I'll be back. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hello.
Hello,
Yes, so I have a network. I had a network problem. What is going on?
we are on break. So we after 15 minutes. So it's almost time.
Okay, okay, okay.
We are waiting.
Where did I reach and the thing went off? I never even realized it.
We ended with chapter 1 and you said 10 minutes break. So we're still waiting for you.
Oh, so
to start.
I have resumed long time.
Hey. Then we
Said I didn't hear anything.
Oh, but okay, then let me start chapter 2. I have resumed long time. I never knew that thing was off.
please, you're on.
Pardon?
Your camera is on.
And that's my camera. Emre. Okay. Okay, so chapter 2 is population distribution and common language. But I remember I mentioned this, so I'm
Amba.
Okay, so population distribution and common languages in West Africa. This is quite a lengthy chapter. So if you're unable to fine. I'm starting with some 5 points about West Africa's population. 5 points or five facts. Fact number 1 is that West Africa, our population as of 2019 was 392, 842, 242. 392, 842, 242. That was our population. So based on this, I'm going to tell you about 6, not 5, 6 facts. 6 of them. 6 of them. Okay. The first one says that with this population, West Africa is about 5% of the whole world's population. The whole world, 5.08%. What does that tell you? It tells you that indeed you are many, because look at the number of continents that we have and even the subdivisions. So if one division in Africa is occupying 5%, it means we are quite populous. That is the first fact. 5% of the world's total. Number 2. It has to do with still population, but it has to do with our ranking in Africa. So with this population, West Africa, is number 2 or is ranked second in Africa. So it means that if you take the whole population of Africa, West Africa is number 2. But in the whole world, we are occupying 5%. Okay. Then we have the next fact to be population density. Population density. Question is, what is population density? What is population density? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Anyame.
So it is the total population divided by the land area.
Exactly. So that is how to calculate it. So all you do is to get your total population, get your land size, and do the arithmetic. You get the density. If that is done in West Africa, our density is going to be 65 persons per kilometer. 65 persons per kilometer. All the land, all the people. Okay, that's a fact. Then we go to the next fact, which talks about the total land that we have, the entire land. We know the population, we must also know the land. All right. So if you know the population and know the land, you can strike the arithmetic. You can do the arithmetic. But as I gave you earlier, our population is 6. Our population is 613,008 square kilometers. That's the population. Okay. And the total land area, as I've given you, no, that is the total land area. I mean, and I've given you the population also, so you can strike the arithmetic. I mean it.
Please, the sound is off. Is it only my end?
Yeah, I'll be with you soon, Vanessa.
Okay.
Please, I think those who have the lectures number should contact me
You
because
just
maybe
text.
he might not know.
What? He said that you should give him some minutes. He's coming.
Oh, okay.
Nyame, please. How are you?
Vanessa, I'm doing well.
Are you still in church?
No. I'm in the house.
Because it seems your attention is somewhere.
I am back. Don't worry.
No.
But I told you I was picking something. I'll be back. You know, this lesson, had it not been that I were in the house and everything, it wouldn't have even been possible. But when you called me, fortunately, I was about to leave for another place, but I decided to stay and meet because just some few minutes before we started was when I got the information. The first one I did yesterday. I did one yesterday, so I thought that was it. Only to be told this morning that there's another one. No problem. But let's maybe I wouldn't even go for another break. I'll continue all the way up to the end. So by 3:30, our lesson will be coming to an end. I was saying about two. Okay, then okay.
24.
Okay, so we are now on the fourth the fourth one, which talks about the rural urban dichotomy. How many people are in the rural areas in West Africa? How many are in the urban areas in West Africa? The book says that as of 2019, 47.3% of our people were in the urban area. You understand? So it means that the cities and towns that we have, if you divide our population, 47.3% of them were there, meaning greater number was in the rural areas as at 2019. As at 2019. All right. Now, moving on, we are talking about the next one, probably the last one, which deals with the median age. The median age. I hope you know median in months. You know median.
Yes, sir.
How is it calculated?
So the median is the middle number.
So how do you calculate it? If you have a set of numbers, how do you get it? Hey, mass or mass. Anybody? Yes, anybody? Oh, median, you only have to arrange the numbers.
Put the middle one.
And then you count from left to right and check which one is in the middle. Sometimes you have two. So you strike the average. That's the median. So what this last point means is that we have a median age. And so it means that all the ages in West Africa will be lined up. Age 1, age 2, age 3, all the way. Okay, will be arranged either in ascending or descending order. When you do that and start counting, you get to a middle point. All right, that middle point is always going to give you 18. That should tell you that West Africans are youthful in our ages, very youthful, meaning we are not aged. I hope you understand that we are very, very youthful. There's a Ababuno Dawson West Africa. So with regards to population, these are the facts that we need to know. Okay, we are moving to the next heading, known as age structure and population growth. Age structure and population growth. So when you say age structure, we are interested in knowing the age brackets that we have in West Africa. How does it look like? What are the numbers? Okay. All right. Now, the age structure in West Africa forms a pyramid. Once you hear age structure, it means you are going to draw a pyramid of ages. And this pyramid, if you draw it properly well in West Africa, is supposed to have a wide base, meaning those who are occupying the bottom are so many. They are in the majority. And as you move from the bottom to the top of the pyramid, all right, the base starts reducing. It becomes shorter and shorter. So it is just like drawing a long rectangle to the left, one to the left, and a long one to the right. Okay, so two rectangles. Now that rectangle stands for a certain age bracket, age structure, and that is from 0 to 4 years. That is the group that is supposed to be in the majority. Every population is supposed to have most of its people being 0 to 4. If that is not it, that population is likely to die off or to get extinct or to be wiped off, because you need these people to grow to replace those who are aging. Those who occupy that population at that point in time, at the base, those who occupy the base of that population at that point in time will later grow to occupy the second spot, 5 to 9 years. So it means after 4 years, you are still growing. You enter into the second phase or the second cohort, 5 to 9. Now, at 5 to 9, they were the same people who were at 0 to 4. At 5 to 9, some of them will die. And so the length of the rectangles you drew when they were 0 to 4 will not be the same lengths. The lengths will reduce, meaning their numbers have or might have also reduced. The same people who will be at 5 to 9 will grow to occupy 10 to 14. Now, when that happens, that means that 0 to 4 is now occupied by another set. 5 to 9 will also then be occupied by another set. So those that you started with are now at 10 to 14. That rectangle that you draw for 10 to 14, obviously, will be shorter than the rectangle for 9 from 5 to 9. Because it is those same people at 5 to 9 who grow, they will move to 10 to 14. So by the time they get to that point, some of them might have died. So their rectangles will not be that long. So this rectangle, if you want to pick one cohort, one age bracket, all the way up to the top, the more you take one cohort to the top, the more reduced their rectangles become. So by the time they get to the top, it will be like a pin. Because if they started with 1,000 By the time you get to the top, I can assure you, and the top is occupied by 80 plus people. 80. So if you started with, let's say, 1,000, I can assure you that by the time you get to 80 years, those who are in the bracket of 80 years, 80 plus, I can assure you that out of 1,000, there will not be more than 200 of them left. I can assure you of that. You understand? And that will mean that as life goes on, death and all the other encomiums will also be plaguing us. So that is the age structure. And that is also to tell you that once your pyramid has the shape I have described, the broad base, the base is going to be wide, broad, and the sides are going to cave in. They are going to cave in. It's like the sides are like writing C or a crescent moon. Okay, it's like writing C. So you see that the side has caved in. If you have a pyramid like that, that is a normal pyramid. That is a normal population, but it has a meaning. What is the meaning? The meaning is that that country, that place which has that population, whose pyramid has been drawn, has high birth rate. That place has what? High birth rate. And that place also has relatively high death rate. Okay? High death rate because the base is always broad. Relatively high death rate because not all of them will die, but by the time they get to the top, they have a lot of them would have died, but those who will die will not be equal in number to those who will be born. So relatively, if you compare the two, the birth rate will exceed the death rate. That is what it means. That is what it means. Okay. Now, if you have such a pyramid by comparison, it means that the global population has moved towards a rectangular shape. In other words, what we have discussed is that of West Africa. But globally, if you put the whole world, our population together, it is not going to give you a pyramid. It is going to look more like a rectangle. It is going to be a rectangle. Why? Because there is slow expansion. Not too many people are being born. And you know the reasons people are not giving birth to so many children. And more people are living older. So if you get a pyramid that is more rectangular, no more pyramid. It is no more pyramid, but it is more rectangular. What it means is that not too many people are being born, but too many people are living older. So those who should be so tiny at the top are so many. So their line, their horizontal rectangle, is going to also be what? Very long, as it is at the base of it. And when that happens, that world will be in trouble because population when you look at it. So that is the age structure. Age structure. Under the age structure and population growth rate, we are to consider population distribution. We are to consider population distribution. Therefore, under this course, if I ask you to give me one word for population distribution or describing the way population has been distributed, it says that the population in West Africa is unevenly distributed. Unevenly, meaning that some parts of West Africa have more people than other parts. If you pick Kumasi, for example, places in did I say Kumasi? If you pick Ghana, there are places in Ghana that have more people than others. Kumasi has more people, Accra has more people. All the regional capitals are well populated, meaning population distribution is in their favor. That means also that elsewhere, there are not too many people there. As if you have such a situation, you can see that it is not evenly distributed, or the population is unevenly distributed, meaning there are more people at one place than the other place. That is what we mean by uneven distribution. I'm going to run by you at least 2 factors that have accounted for the uneven distribution in West Africa. 2 factors. One is physical environmental differences. Physical environmental differences. And the second one is history of human settlement. History of human settlement. Okay. So picking them one after the other. One after the other. The physical environment. You know what goes into the physical environment? You mentioned physical. We're talking about the weather or the climate. We're talking about the soil there. We're talking about the drainage system there. We are also looking at vegetation. So the book has given us examples of places which have sparse population and the reason why. So you see that in the arid northern part of West Africa, arid northern part, arid means dry. In the dry northern part, where we have Mali, Niger, and then Mauritania, it is dry. Okay, and the book is telling us why the place is sparsely populated, and I intimated earlier. Only a small in the arid northern part of West Africa, only a small sparse population can be sustained. You go there, if you are too many, you will die. So not too many people would want to stay there. Okay. Now, why is that the case? Why is that the case? In the arable regions, I'll tell you why that is the case. Arable means place where the land is fertile, cultivable, and so on. Where soils are fertile and the climate is favorable for crop cultivation, there are higher densities. Simple. And that is the physical environment. So if the physical environment is favorable, population distribution will also be even. But if the physical environment is not favorable, population distribution will not be even. All right. And so examples keep coming that the peanut basin of Western Senegal, the Nigeria border region, Central Burkina Faso, and Southwestern Chad stand out by their relatively high rural population densities. Okay. And so basically, that is what it is. That because of the physical environment, which I have mentioned, soil, drainage, climate, and so on, if all these things are positive, if all these things are good, people will settle at that place. So population density distribution will become better. But it is difficult to achieve that. Not all the countries will have uniform conditions across. All right. Then we talk about history of human settlement. History of human settlement. You have heard stories of small settlements along major routes, like roads, which the contractors wanted to relocate. You have also heard about small settlements in gold mining areas, which gold miners wanted to relocate, build estate houses for them, and leave their mud houses behind. They said no, they will not go. Why? It is because of history of their settlement. If you take me to any other place, I have lost my royalty, or I have lost my royalty. I'm no more a royal. If you take me there, I have left the remains of my ancestors behind. And so they will not get anybody to feed them, because in our history, in our tradition, we have the belief that the dead ones, our relatives, are fed by us, and that they visit us every night when we are asleep to also come and eat. They will come and eat from our pot. That is the leftovers, okay? The water standing somewhere. So in my area, when I was a kid, you eat, you are unable to finish it, fufu. Never would you be allowed to throw it into the dustbin or throw it away. Never. They will let you cover it and put it by the side of the fire. And the hope is that Then some four who were our relatives will come over and come and eat as if they were still with us. In fact, there are people who went before they start eating, will throw some of the food at three corners. One in front, one here, one there, at three corners, believing that some of those our old dead relatives are with us in spirit. They are standing by us, but I don't see them. They cannot put their hands into our food directly. And so the only way they can eat is to get their food to them where they are. And that is history of human settlement. So where people have settled, they will want to stay there and maintain their culture, maintain their royalty, and maintain their history. Therefore, if I am a Sefi, wherever I am, I want to get back to my hometown. That is why people even travel from abroad to come back home during festivals in their hometowns. Okay, so if that is the case, and your history, your story is so compelling, it's so catchy, people will want to come and settle there. Therefore, you have a higher population density at that place, because that is a place of history. That is a place of what? History. So that is the history of human settlement and its explanation. All right. Now, I have already explained the pyramid, but let me give you some more facts. The pyramid that I described with concave sides, every pyramid has two sides. One side on the left, one side on the right. Okay. Now, the right is always occupied by females. The left is by males. And then the various age groups, cohorts, are run by the side. So you start from the bottom, 0 to 4. And every cohort has 5-year interval. 0 to 4 is 5 years. Don't make no mistake. 0 is a number. So 0 to 5. And then 5 to 0 to 4, 5 to 9, 10 to 14, in that order. Those ones will be by the side of the pyramid. And then there'll be a division line and there'll be a scale at the bottom. I think I've added that diagram to your slides. I hope so. All right. Maybe I have to include it after today. So you have it as part of your notes. Good. Now, what next are you going to do? You're going to talk about population density proper. And I've told you what population density is, the number of people per square kilometer or per square mile. And this heading is only about Nigeria. Alata. In West Africa, even by extension, they have the largest population. And because of that, they have the highest population density. Okay, as of 2019, they were about 18 million. About 18 million. So it is Nigeria. Did I say 18? 180 million. So it is Nigeria that we're going to talk about. Ghana will come second. Even with our second, our population is about 1/5, 1/6 of what Nigeria has, and even less. Okay, therefore, we're going to look at the reasons why Nigeria has a high population density. There are 3 reasons, and when I bring you the past questions, you see that these reasons are very, very, very popular in examination. My course coordinator likes those reasons a lot. The first one, reasons why Nigeria is having high population density. 1, people settle where the climate is clement. Otherwise, you want to say something is clement, favorable. So people settle where the climate is what? Favorable. All right. If the climate is not favorable, here we're talking about if the climate is not favorable, your soil, fertility of it, and other economic opportunities are going to be lost. You understand? You will have no opportunity because everything comes from the land, and the land is agriculture. Therefore, if your climate will not allow you to cultivate plants and rare animals, then you're in doom. You're doomed. Okay, so it is due to climate, first one. Second one, why civilization flourished across the region in the 15th century through 19th century, the high concentration of kingdoms, empires, and particularly city-states such as Kano, Kachina, Oyo, Ife, Benin, Nri, Igbo, and others are unique. It's unique to the territory that became modern Nigeria. Right. Very long, but simple and short. Nigeria has had a certain civilization since the 15th century, meaning they got civilized very, 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 very early. And so, states, Kano State, Katsina State, Oyo State, Ife, Benin, all these are states in Nigeria. And that is supposed to tell you that they have seen culture and they have lived by it. That is the second reason. The third reason has to do with the trans-Saharan trade routes. In Nigeria, just like the ancient Ghana and those ones, Nigeria controlled. Nigeria controlled some of the Saharan trade routes. So it says that three ancient trans-Saharan trade routes originating from Africa ended in oh, all right, sorry for the break. Sorry for the break. So I was saying that they controlled the trans-Saharan trade routes. And by extension, if you control a trade route, you know what I said. You take tax, you take tax, you levy the people, and you become rich because you are the champion of that trade route. Three of those trans-Saharan trade routes originated from North Africa, but they ended in Nigeria. What does it mean? It means that people were coming from North Africa, all right, through and Arabia, okay, North Africa and Arabia, and they were coming to trade in Nigeria. So it made them expand, all right, it made them expand. People came to settle there because I want to take advantage of the market that is going on here. So they had high population density. These are the three reasons Nigeria has high population density. That is what it is. All right. Now let's talk more. I think I'll leave this one. Let's go to what we call another heading: aerial distribution. Aerial distribution. Aerial distribution of the people of West Africa. When you say aerial, it means which location do we find a group of people? In Ghana, for example, if you mention, let's say, Dagomba, you know you will find them in Tamale. If you mention Bono, you know you find them in the Brown region. If you mention Krobo, another tribe that is going down by popularity, they are not popular these days. You used to be popular. You could hear Krobo everywhere. They are in the eastern region, like that, areas. So in West Africa, which people are located where? That is what we are going to do. We're going to use our vegetation and our lands, that's how the land looks like, to demarcate. And so the first one is known as the zone of high population. the zone of high population. Which zone is this? This zone is the area along the coast, spanning from Sierra Leone to the southeastern part of Nigeria. So if you have your map, on this stretch, even though the coast is also occupied by Mauritania, we have left out Mauritania because Mauritania is a Sahelian country. Okay, so this is the area we're looking at. Over there on that stretch, we have Senegal, we have Gambia, we have Guinea-Bissau, we have Guinea, we have Sierra Leone, we have Liberia, we have Ivory Coast, we have Ghana, we have Togo, we have Benin, and then Nigeria. So all the countries there, all these countries are sharing borders with the ocean. So that is the area we call the coastal stretch. All right, along the coast, Sierra Leone to where? Nigeria. Correct. Sierra Leone to Nigeria. Okay, I added some countries that shouldn't, but at least you have an idea the area I'm talking about. So what is the reason for people staying in these areas or concentrating in these countries? One, please note the reasons. Why do these places have high population densities? Because the heading is zones of high population. So why is the coastal stretch of West Africa having a high population? One. Oimpo. The area did not suffer from slave raiders significantly. That area, that coastal stretch, did not suffer. There were people you call slave raiders. And who were they? When you are raiding a place, it means you are just bumping into the place, picking whatever you can pick without anybody challenging you, or anybody who challenges you shut the person down. I said, my what them, that is a raid. During the slave trade, there were people called slave raiders. What did they do? They will enter your area and look for the people that they are looking for. Youthful people between age 10, 11, that way, all the way up to about 45, 50, they'll carry you away. All right, they'll take you away. So when this happened, places that this situation occurred, those places became depleted. Their numbers went down. But along the coastal stretch, that situation didn't come. And so their numbers kept being high. And that is why it has a high population, coastal stretch. The second one is that the coastal stretch were militarily strong. They were very strong. And so they could maintain and retain their high population. So places in Ghana, places in Nigeria, all right, they couldn't venture because they had military. They had what? Military. Not military as you see them today. Like the olden days, they would train people to be the vanguards of the town, protectors of the town. They were the military. If I have a military and you want to come and attack me, you think twice. So the raiders couldn't go there. Okay, the third one. It is always commercial activities. The third one is what? Commercial activities. And by that's what we call today, we call it business. You meet a person, he says, I'm a businessman. As to what business he does, you don't know. Maybe the person, some people, they sell PK, toffee, you see them in traffic, handkerchief, and they'll be walking around. If you ask the person, that person is doing business. So because that coastal stretch was full of business, a lot more people went to occupy that place. The fourth one is that wars that were fought in these areas were not dangerous. They were not devastating. They were not fatal. Anytime war breaks out, people die. All right? And so anybody who will stay around there will die. The people we're talking about, the stretch we're talking about, they waged war. They went to war, all right. but they didn't die like chicken. And so they maintained their numbers because the war was not fatal. It wasn't deadly. Reason they have high population. Number 5, people migrated from disturbed areas to seek refuge in this area. Refugees, huh? Oh, the last time I checked, the Liberians have been taken back home. Oh, it was an emotional thing. Having stayed here for, actually, for more than 40 years. You see, civil war broke out in Liberia. We shall talk about it later. There was civil war in Liberia. And that was when our president, Rawlings, I believe so, was the chairman of ECOWAS. And so people had to leave. They had to flee. Anytime there's civil war, people will leave. You remember Ghana and I say, Bollywood baby. There was a small war. 13,000 Ghanaians fled to Cote d'Ivoire. I don't know whether you saw it. So during the Liberian war, people wanted to go and hide. Where will they go? In fact, Ghana has been hospitable. That Ghana was the country that accepted them. You remember the Gitmo too? All right. People, when the Guantanamo Bay was dissolved, there were 2 people America didn't know where to send them because their countries had rejected them. There were 2 people. So America, under Mahama I, brought them to Ghana, and they were christened Gitmo 2. Not too long ago, some West Africans who were deported, were brought in to come and occupy it. It became topical. That's why I keep telling you, you have to be current. Now, add that to the Liberian type, who were given a whole area. All right, Bujumbura. Bujumbura, Gomwa Bujumbura. They had their own town, own city within a city, and they were staying there. Some of them stayed there for so long, they intermingled, they married. There was one guy who was even working with TV3, Isopilot. That was the name. Those of you who have been watching TV long ago, he was working. So they have married some of our people. Some of our people have married some of them. All right, and they were enjoying their lives. Not too long ago, information came that now Liberia is peaceful. They have transferred power so many times. Ellen Johnson Sirleaf was there, George Weah came, and another one has come. So it is peaceful now. Therefore, go back to your hometown, your home country. That was what we told them. So they had to leave. Now, governments or ECOWAS had to provide buses. They went by bus. And they were taken to Liberia. It was videoed and we all watched it. Question is, after how many years? Some of them were even born here, who could speak our language and everything, our languages. After how many years? If you spoke to those who didn't want to go, they said all their family members died in the war. And in fact, they could not even point where they came from. If you were 1 year when you were coming, you are now 40 years. Where do you know in Liberia? You understand? Even if you were 5 years, where would you know? You don't know any place. But they were taken home. So the same thing happened in our history, as we are learning that years ago, centuries ago, people who were disturbed, because up north they are fighting every time. Northern part of West Africa they are fighting. So if you didn't want to be affected by that war, you flee. So those people found a safe haven along the coastal stretch. That is why they are in a high population zone. And the next one, number 6, here I have about 11 or so reasons. 11. I'm now on 6. Maybe I'll end on the 6 and then move on to another thing. When the slides come, you see the rest. Number 6 is that they were farming. Conditions are favorable for the cultivation of tree crops such as cocoa, coffee, oil palm, and rubber. Okay, so if you can farm all these, cultivate all these, then that place should be good for every human being to be there. And so it is a reason the coastal stretch is highly populated. I'll leave the rest of the reasons and go to the next highly populated area. The Sudan belt of high population. I hope you are there. Yes. You are now 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 7 plus 3 will be 10. Only 10 of you. Only. Mutumodi, how I wish my class will never get the slice. Vanessa, da.
Yeah, dog, I'm not sleeping. I'm here. I was
How I
trying
wish
to unmute.
I can get another platform for only those who attend lectures. I hope you should be more than this.
So one thing is, okay, please, let's go on. Your decision is
What is
final.
it? Because when it comes to online lesson, the LMS, did I say lesson? Online quiz. I don't think the person will say he's a not network challenge area, so you will not write. You all right? No, be so. That one they right. So why don't you want to attend lectures?
Listen, I think we are geography students. We are not many. So maybe some few people did not join, but most of us have joined.
Oh, I don't know your number exactly, but I think and this is across the nation.
Yes, sir.
Okay, the whole country. So which centers are represented here? Ebenezer, you are at which center?
West Coast, eh?
West School. Okay, I was there yesterday.
Wow.
I went to West School yesterday to teach the social studies group.
Okay.
They come for face to face. There are many. There are more than 50.
Yeah.
I went there to teach them. That's why I was beaten by this because I never knew this course is also there. I went to teach them population and development. Then Felix, where are you represented? Representing? Where?
Maoli school.
Okay. Elijah, where?
Koforidia, Ganas.
Okay, Ganas. Vanessa is at Kasua Valley, whatever.
Zenith, Accra.
Okay, Zenith. Okay, Zenith, we have our distance. Okay. Then Benon. Benon, which center are you representing?
Where? I representing where?
Wow, okay. Willie?
Yes.
Yami William. Which center? Yami Adawada. Noah. Noah, I've spoken to you already. Maggie?
Sir, please, I'm
Kumasi,
at West
West
Coast.
Coast.
I know it's your school. Yeah. Maggie, where?
West Coast, sir.
Oh, you're also your school. Eh? Oh, okay. I was there yesterday.
Yes,
Then
please.
Emmanuel Do.
Dog, please, Mauli
Oh,
School.
okay. I've spoken to you also. Hey, I didn't mind and say, okay. So, I think every it's a nationwide thing, but I still believe you should be more than this. All right, no problem. So my point was that the slides should go to only those of you who are here. I think I have a chat with Vanessa. Vanessa personally send me a hi. Let me forward. Nka will be our WhatsApp contact those who are here. Then you forward it to them alone because he's aware he will not join. But he knows you put it into your WhatsApp page. Anyway, let's continue. The next high population zone is the Sudan Savannah Belt. Sudan Savannah Belt. All right. The Sudan Savannah Belt. So this one extends from coastlines of Senegal and Gambia to northern Nigeria. Right. So this one, you take off from Senegal, you pass through the bottom of Mali, you pass through the middle part of Burkina, you run through the southern tip of Niger and get to Nigeria. So it is running in the middle there. That is the Sudan Savannah Belt. Okay, why is the place having high population? Number one, agriculture. They could grow groundnut in large volumes. Remember Burkina. Even this one, right, includes the northern part of Ghana. The topmost part, uppermost part of Ghana, it is part of this. So they grow groundnut a lot. And then, apart from groundnut, they also have a large volume of rainfall. Okay. No, the rainfall season is short. It's quite short. Yes, the rainfall season is quite short, and that allows them to grow certain staples: millet, guinea corn, cotton, groundnut. They're able to grow it because of the nature of the rainfall they experience. They're very short, meaning these ones do not like plenty water. Okay. Then the fourth reason will be the third reason will be the rearing of cattle. They are able to rear cattle. Remember the northern part of Ghana, cattle, and it is helping them a lot. The last one is still on cattle. That if they want to cultivate, they use the droppings of the cattle as manure. So they don't have to struggle to buy fertilizer. Manure is free for them, and that helps them a lot. So they have 4 reasons why the place is highly populated. Okay, so you are done with the high population zones. We are moving to 2 low population zones, 2 of them. We have the low population belt of the extreme north of the sub-region, extreme north. So we are talking about the northern part of Mauritania, the northern part of Mali, the northern part of Niger. And those are places that are bounded by the Sahara. Okay, so what do we have over there? Why is that place so poorly populated? 2 reasons. Number one, low and unreliable rainfall. Very low and unreliable rainfall. How do you know the desert? It doesn't rain too often, so not too many people can stay there. Number 2, the environment is not also incentive. It's also an incentive for high population growth in the area. What environment are you talking about? Remember what you said about why those countries are large in size, if you remember. The environment is dusty. The environment is dry. The environment is the worst you can think of. It is a desert area. It doesn't rain. Wild animals plenty. So if you have such an environment, you dare not raise children there because they will suffer. And that is why it is poorly populated. The next poorly populated area is the middle belt of low population density, middle belt. And here we are talking about the southern part of Senegal, the southern part of Burkina. The first one was the middle part. This I'm talking about the southern part of Burkina. The next one, we're talking about the upper part of Cote d'Ivoire, upper part of Ghana, the middle coming down south, getting to Bali areas. That's what we're talking about. Then the northern part of Togo, northern part of Benin. That is the area. Place so poorly habited. 1, rainfall is not reliable. There are 4 reasons here. Rainfall is not reliable. Number 2, excessive evaporation during the dry season. But during dry season, the sun becomes so scorchy that every single river body there dries up. So sometimes they have to drink the same water as the cattle. They struggle to have to find water because the rainfall is not favorable over there. Good. Next one, we are looking at the presence of dangerous animals and harmful flies. Dangerous animals and harmful flies. The tsetse flies, and whatever, the dragonflies, all of them. They are dangerous and they are poisonous. On the desert, those of you who have been listening to the history or the stories, you could be going in a group. One will grow weak. You have to leave him there and go. Because if you want to carry him, one, you cannot carry him throughout the journey, a journey of months. How are you going to carry the person? Number two, where would you even get food or water for him to drink? Where? There's no water. You carry small water, and if you decide to share with somebody, you yourself, you go out of water, and that means you die. And the desert is not like this place where you can go the whole day without water. Every now and then, you need a sip of water because temperatures are extremely high. Very, very high. Temperatures are very, very, very high. Therefore, if you have to operate over there, all right, you need to be watchful of certain things. So those dangerous animals are adaptable to those conditions. So there are plenty over there, plenty. And when that person who has grown weak dies, you leave him there. Sometimes they dig, because you can dig the soil with your bare hands. It is quite dusty. They dig, they put you there and cover you with some sand, and that's all. Or if they don't cover you, in the next second or minute, dust will be blown by the air, and then nobody will even see you. If you are not careful, wild animals will come and pounce on your body and eat you raw like that. So there are dangerous animals there. For this reason, people don't want to stay there. And the last one is that the area suffered from slave invasion. You remember slave raiders, slave invasion. So if people come wanting to take away your people, they'll carry all of us on this platform would have been taken away because we are all energetic, we are all youthful. Me na many kakra, but me no 50. What I say? They would have carried all of us away. So when this happened, are they not depleting your population? They are. So these 4 reasons are the reasons why the middle belt is poorly populated. Any question? Into you.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
But there's this that I've heard about those people in that area. Most of them do marry maybe 3, 4, 5 wives. So I think maybe they should have rather had the higher populations over there.
Yeah, true. But the point is that already there are not many. All right. Already there are not many. So the few there are the ones who are giving birth to replace the old ones. Assuming at the start they were 1,000. All right. 300 of them men, 700 women. And should every one of them get pregnant, you see that they will give birth to so many of them. Okay. But if they are, let's say, 200 to start with, you have 150 being women, 50 being men. You wouldn't be many because from the beginning you were not many, so you can't give birth to many like that. And remember also that death is there. So as they give birth, and you see, they are the ones who die like chicken. Without apologies to anybody who is from any part of the north or something. They fight almost every now and then. Small thing, somebody is on you. Okay. And they don't fear to die. Death is more or less like profit for them. Small thing, somebody is stabbing you like that. So they also die, keeping their population still low. That is why that place has a low population. Okay. I hope I've answered you.
Yes, sir.
All right. Now let's go to, apart from area distribution, we're going to look at geographical distribution, this time of ethnic groups. Of ethnic groups. There, I know you say we are only looking at the numbers. I mean the area distribution, only the numbers. But here we are looking at which ethnic groups occupy where. That is the geographical distribution of ethnic groups. That's the heading. Geographical distribution of ethnic groups. All right. We have spent 3 hours already because you started at 11:30, 11:40. Thereabout. I started with Vanessa. She was the only person I met on the platform when I first joined. Okay. So in the next 30, 45 minutes, we shall end. But I should try very hard to get fast. And this is okay. So we are looking at geographical distribution of ethnic groups. And here we are using our zones. Our zones. We have divided this topic into two: geographical distribution. We have people of the forest zone and we have people of the savanna zone in West Africa. Because every country in one way or the other has savanna. Every country in one way or the other has forest. So which people are there? Now we are starting with the forest zone. In the forest zones in West Africa, we have the following people, among others. One, the Akans of Ghana. True or false? Are we in the forest zone? Yes, Akans. Number two, the Yorubas and Igbos of Nigeria. Number three, the Ewes of Togo and Benin. These are the people who occupy the forest zones in West Africa. Next one, we're looking at the savanna and semi-deserts. The savanna zone and semi-deserts. Which people are there? In fact, in the forest zone, let's not forget. Those there in the forest zone are known as settled cultivators, meaning they have settled there and they are cultivating the land. Okay. And they practice their traditional religion a lot. It's only in recent times that those things are fading out. But they used to be popular. A comfort type of thing, the Sunni type of thing. They worship. And the last thing about the forest zone is that they also are mostly Christians in the forest zone. It doesn't mean Muslims are not in the forest zone. They are. But relatively, in terms of numbers, Christians are way back, way ahead in numbers. So in the forest zone, I think that if Christians are 90%, Muslims should be about 10% in the forest zones alone. Now, in the savannah zone, which people are there? Nomadic pastoralists. Nomadic pastoralists. When you say you are a nomad, it means you carry cattle around for them to graze. A pastor is someone who cares for the flock. So you take them around, you take the flock around. They are people who are always on the desert, in the semi-desert. They include the Fulani and then the Tuareg. Tuaregs are in Mali. As for Fulani, they are everywhere. You know them, you have been seeing them. Well, because of their behaviors, I mean, as a person, I don't like them. I don't like them. They are the ones who occupy the savannas and the semi-deserts. Okay. And these people occupy the drier part. In this same savanna area, we have the wetter part. It's just like Ghana. You see, there is no boundary. It is one straight thing. So if a place is described as part of the north, where does the south end? You will realize that a place that is close to the south will have some characteristics of the south, even though it is a northern territory. The same way, a place that is in the south will have some characteristics of the north, even though it is in the southern territory. All right. And so those places occupy the wetter part, and they are the Hausa people, the Musi, and then the Wolof. These people are predominantly Muslims. Any questions so far? Mm-hmm. They are predominantly Muslims. Predominantly Muslims. Good. So we are done with the geographical distribution of ethnic groups. You know which people are in the forest zone, which people are in the savannah zone. I am going to start looking at common languages in West Africa. Here, we are talking about popular, original, local languages in West Africa. All right? Don't mention your language. Say, I'm a Sefi, so you mention Sefi. No, that's not what you're talking about. We are looking at ethnic groups and those that are popular, big ones. Some ethnic groups are not big. In Ghana, we have about 6 of them. Akan is number 1. Ewe is number 2. Gan is number 3. Guan is number 4. Mole Dagwani is number 5. And then Gruma also is number 6. Okay. So we have these ones. Among all of them, it is the Akan group that is the largest. In fact, the whole country, Akans are more than 45% of the people. And so when we talk about popular local languages in West Africa, we are talking about the following languages. 1, Akan. Akan. This topic has been a popular examination question. You will be made to describe the languages. So I've mentioned Akan. Let's describe Akan. 1, Akans originate from Ghana, especially the Ashanti Kingdom. All right, especially the Ashanti Kingdom, where it is today the mother tongue of about 45% of the population. So what that means is that in Ghana, about 45% of us are Akan speakers. Make no mistake, Akan doesn't mean Asante. Those who joined me earlier, I told you that Akan is a big ethnic group, which is made up of over 18 tribes. I mentioned some of them earlier. Let me start from my own tribe. Sepi, Awin, Wasa, Nzema, Ahanta, Fante, Asen, Asante, Kwau, Achem, Akwamu, Chokwasi. Chokwasi is in the north, if you care to know, but they are Akans. Chokwasi, they are in the north. These are tribes within the Akan group. So when we say Akans are 45%, it includes all these people that I have mentioned. Did I mention Zima? Zimas are part. Akrapims are part. All right. So Akans are 45% of the entire population of Ghana. Okay. Now, invariably, Akan is spoken almost everywhere. It is spoken almost everywhere, especially at the southern part. Now, how did Akan begin to spread? In the 17th century. In the 17th century. And that is why we say that the boundaries in West Africa are artificial boundaries. Because if you go closer to the borders, the people in the neighboring countries speak the same language as the people in the other country. If you go to Togo, Aflao and Lomé are twin cities. They speak the same language. Mosi people up north, all right, they are in Burkina, but we also have Mosi in Ghana. Okay, please, just a second. A second. All right, let's continue. So, in the 17th century, and I hope you know when the centuries begin. 17th century means, we are talking about 1600 all the way to 1699. That is the 17th century. Around this time, and I was talking about our borders. if you go to the western border of Ghana, there are people in Ivory Coast known as Anyi people. Anyi. They are Ghanaians. In fact, their language is just like mine. They are Ghanaians. And history even has it that they partly originated or migrated from Ashanti region. They did. And so, somewhere last year, delegation from that place came to Manshia to pay homage to their king. You get the point. And so these people, the Anyis, they immigrated to Cote d'Ivoire. They fled. Huh? They immigrated to Ivory Coast to flee the slave hunters. Somewhere in the 17th century, they fled to Cote d'Ivoire. And when they were going, they carried the Akan language with them. They were Akans. And so they carried it with them. Okay. Now, at another point, a tribe known as Baule, who are in Ivory Coast, also came down, okay, to Ghana. And they also picked our language around. And these Baule people were led by a queen known as Queen Ablapoku. All right, Queen Ablapoku. So she was their leader and she extended Akan into Cote d'Ivoire. That is the story of the Akan group, a popular language in Ghana. All right. Now let's look at other languages. Fula is the next language. I hope it rings a bell. Fula. Invariably talking about Fulani people, eh? The Fula people. Okay. The Fula people. So the Fula people, Fula is a language spoken by nomads. I've told you who nomads are. And this language, listen carefully, became a vector of Islamization of West Africa. They use this language to propagate Islam in West Africa. That's why we noted earlier that Islam is the most popular religion in West Africa. These people don't care where they will sleep, nomads, everywhere they will go. And when they go, they will practice their religion and they were able to convert people to join them. So Fula is a language for the nomads, and the nomads use this language to spread Islam. That is the first or 2 points you have to note. The third point is that this language is spoken in 15 West African countries, the Fula language. It is spoken in 15 West African countries. So, next thing about the Fula people is also that they are people who are able to adapt. They can learn your language simply. So they can adapt to your conditions. They can communicate with you within how many days? Simple. These Fula people, the language is not a conquering one, meaning it is not a language that when you hear, you can easily adapt and forget yours because it is difficult to learn that language. It's just like the German language, the Dutch. It is not easy to learn it. So it doesn't conquer other languages in West Africa too commonly. But in Cameroon, it was able to capture some space. And then the Fula as a language is largely spoken in Guinea. It is spoken in Guinea and marginally, I can't imagine just say Babika Krebi apart from Guinea. So in Guinea-Bissau, Babika Krebi, in Liberia, a very tiny area speak the Fula. In Senegal, they also speak Fula, and then the Sierra Leone, they also speak Fula. So that is the story of the Fula language. Maybe you think it is Fulani, no problem. Then we have the third language being Gbe. What I always encourage students to do is to at least pick 3 popular languages. There are 8 of them. Pick 3 of them. Pick only 3. and learn them concisely. Learn those languages concisely. So you can pick Akan, Fuller because of how it sounds. Now we are going to the Gbe. You know that Gbe means Aigbe. Gbe means Aigbe. Aigbe is, or Gbe is a language continuum. When I say it's a language continuum, it means it starts from some point and then eats into another language, meaning it has a merging point between itself and another language. It is a language continuum. A language continuum. Therefore, it makes understanding difficult because at one time you hear a different language A coming in, another time language B will be joining, another time language C, so you get confused. Therefore, it is not easy to learn. But the second point about the Gbe language is that it is closely related to Ewe, and that Ewe is a language within the Gbe language for communication. That is the common one that you know, the Gbe. Ewe is part of it, the common one. Then there's another name, another language by name Fon. Fon is a language, F-O-N. It is understood by the Ewes in the east. All right. And so people in Jugu in Benin speak Fon, but the Fon is a suburb or a sub branch of Gbe, okay, which is also having a sub branch known as Ewe. Therefore, Ewe is coming from the Gbe language, as I've mentioned. Next one, we have Hausa. So if I were you, I'll pick Akan, I'll pick Hausa, and maybe pick Fuller so far. So Hausa is spoken in the northern part of Nigeria and in the south also. But this time in the south, they speak it only in the cities. All right. If you go to a place like Niamey and Benin, all right, northern part of Benin, they also speak Hausa a lot. So about 50 to 60 million people can speak Hausa or understand Hausa to different levels or different degrees. Okay. Now, Hausa has a number of books, many books, and newspapers have been written in Hausa. I can say same for Akan, especially Fante, Asante, Okapem, and others. Even my language is now a written language. I can write it nicely. Okay. So we also have Akan having been reduced into writing. But here I mentioned it's made of Hausa as a language that has been published into books and newspapers. Again, there are many radio stations that are broadcasting in Hausa. Example, BBC World Service, they have a Hausa version. Voice of America, they have a Hausa version. Deutsche Welle, the German station. We have China Radio. And then we have Radio Moscow as well as Radio France. All these, because they want to reach far and have international audience, they intentionally publish in some of these local languages. The next thing about Hausa is that they also ventured into cinematography or the creative industry. And here, videos were produced and edited in studios. So video industry using the Hausa as the language flourished. And therefore, more than 1,000 films annually are released in Hausa. Just like we have Kumawood, they also release movies in their language. Okay, there are other languages. I'll leave them for you. I've done 4 so far. I'll leave the 4. We have Mandingo. When you get the slide, the description is there. We have Songhai, it's a language. Description is there. We have Wolof, which is a language, and then we have Yoruba. So if I were you, because Yoruba is popular, I would choose Yoruba I'll choose Hausa, I'll choose Akan. At least you have 3 huge languages that you can depend on. Okay. Now, how does language help Africa, West Africa? How does language help us? Language and regional integration of West Africa. That is the heading. Language and regional integration of West Africa. Now, the first sentence is that there are 3 major languages spoken at the ECOWAS Commission. Don't forget, ECOWAS is West Africa. 3 major languages, only 3 of them. I've mentioned them already. We have the Anglophone, English-speaking countries. We have Francophone, French-speaking countries. We have Portuguese, that is Portuguese-speaking countries. These are the languages we have in West Africa. Meaning, when they go for ECOWAS meeting, and I hope you all have heard of ECOWAS before, these are the languages they are going to speak. Because if you speak English, you are sure at least you have 3 countries that understand it, including those who have learnt it. You understand? If you speak French, the same way. If you speak Portugal, you have 2 countries in there who understand it. Now, having made this point, it says that Mauritania is an exception. Mauritania is an exception because they left the ECOWAS but managed to come back in 2002. But when they left, Arabic was the official language. So anytime they met at ECOWAS Commission, it was chaotic. They had to go for interpreters. Nobody understood them. It was chaotic. All right. So West Africa, therefore, has advantage with only 3 languages, or let's say 4. West Africa has advantage over the regional zones, which must manage integration with a good number of languages. So within in Africa, West Africa, but you find that we have been able to, streamline our languages to only 3. But those of you who are there, you are using so many languages. For example, Europe, they use 21 languages. Do you know why? Why do they use all these languages? Why? Why do they have this huge number of languages? So when they meet at the European Union Commission, everybody is speaking his language or her language. But question is, why do they have this number of languages? Oh, unlike Africa, West Africa, which was colonized, and so languages were forced on us, the European nations were never colonized. Therefore, they maintained their original local languages. And the world, they said that nobody wish or would want to leave his language and come and pick yours. When I do that, I become your subject. In other words, I become your aqua. So none of them wants to learn the other person's language. But in Africa, West Africa, we didn't need to do that because they forced the language on us. And now we have all bought into it. All this while, I have been speaking English, even though that is not my language. I want to Sasunibian. You understand? And so they were not colonized. They were not colonized. They keep their mother tongues. Hey, no way. I'll keep my original language. And this multilingualism is making integration very, very difficult for them. Very difficult. Because the one who is speaking Dutch does not understand Dutch. Kasabian we are say German for Kasa. All right. The one who is speaking English may not understand French. But you see, English is making inroads. That is why I keep telling Ghanaians. And Ghana, we have also had our show. We are unable to adopt any Ghanaian language because None of the tribes in Ghana would want to be a subject of the other. Say, yafa one language, ebia, evi. But maybe Samia, as an academician, as a teacher of this course, I'll tell you, by the criteria for selecting a language, the only language in Ghana that you can use is Evi. We can adopt as our national language is Evi. Somebody will say Akan or Twi. No, Twi is only popular in Ghana. Twi is only popular in Ghana. All right, Ivorians, they much do not understand Twi. So let's say if you add Ivory Coast to it, it's only two nations, our Western neighbors, two nations. But Evi, spoken in Ghana, spoken in Togo, spoken in Benin, spoken in Nigeria. In fact, the German language is related to Evi. And so if you use international popularity, which is one of the criteria, it is only Evi that qualifies, not Twi, not Fanti Twi, nothing. It's only what? Evi. And so it is becoming difficult for us to choose one language, Ghanaian language. And you think the Ghana person will agree for Ghana to say that, oh, henceforth, you are a Ghanaian, but our language is, let's say, Fanti. You think they will agree? No way. Chaos, man. So we are fortunate to have had English because now, as I told you, English is making inroads. Every country is trying to learn some English. Let me tell you the countries that are learning English. Germans, they are the most nepotic and tribalistic people in the world. Russia, Germans. You know what they have done? On their radio TV, they have what you call DWTV or DW radio. They do English news. In fact, one presenter in Ghana, Lavin C, those of you have heard of his name before, used to work with them. He was newscaster with them. Demo, they are learning English. In fact, I have a friend in Austria who tells me that Austrians are about to introduce English version of the educational system. And she gives me the confidence that once that happens, she will support me to travel to Austria because she knows I like English a lot to come and help their system. So English is making inroads. How does it happen that Arabs, for example, North Africans, Arabians, and so on, are able to speak some English, but not French? English is flexible, it's relaxed, it's relaxing. And so learning it is not difficult at all. And so people are now learning English. Chinese, they have their language. The most popular local language is the Chinese language, spoken by 1.4 people, but they can speak English. All right. And so English is a big deal. And so the point I was making was that because they have a number of languages, as I've explained, it makes integration very difficult for them. All right. Therefore, their communication is skewed. In fact, if you move to a country, any of their countries, you are forced to learn their language first before they will give you a welcome. All right. So, in the whole, that is the end of chapter 2 also. That is the end of chapter 2. We have chapter 3 to contend with. But we are done to say 8 every meeting. And after that, there have been interjections. I promise you next week we shall have a smooth period. And chapter 3, if I should mention it, chapter 3 is purely physical geography, geology, relief, and drainage of West Africa. Geology, relief, and drainage of West Africa. That is chapter 3. I don't know whether I should start it because I'm not tired. Masa. Yes, from the house, so that we can go far. Should I start?
Prof, next week.
Ajima, make sure I say.
Baby, I blew. Next Sunday, I blew up.
My bread. Mate. What do you kind of first one, Anna?
Yeah, I'm back school. Sorry.
Aha, or no castle on yet.
Or see, no, see, on to your way. And a power in a man crying to me.
And your nipa now here in charge, you know, or why mistake. Me say me about less than 30 minutes to say me better say no catch them you. No what you can add the link because me no chat that. It or the link in send me or the link send me. But now my dream me say the no am culture no population and development. A whole link no. No next week Saturday. And also a bit online see ya because face to face, online face to face. It's not doing no. Only for him to call me and say another course for another year group. And he said, maybe can you? And now I said nipa krono na I am mistaken because I'm saying almost find a subject by subject or so. Oh, and nipa krono mistake. All right, into some Muslim point there, I have no problem. About 3. Should I close?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so remind me. Please, your platform is still there, oh? I used to be on it. Can somebody reactivate it for me? So that I'll be there. Nanka and send it out to Suprepo. Why?
Okay, sir.
So reactivate it. If you send hi, make I now send it hi, I'll see it. It will come. Then I'll push the slides onto it for you to read. The slides, I can assure you, are about 80-85% what is in the book. I didn't leave any facts out. In fact, in some cases, I've added a few facts to it. And so be reminding me, let me give you the slides. Thank you very much, all of you. Thank you very much to Vanessa. I think it was Sabine. All right. Obi send hi. So the administrator can change the Sabine into Regina. Okay, so that it doesn't confuse him. Regina, no, yes, switch. Regina 2025. Now unique. And I say Regina switch 2025. Now unique. So Azimaric, Bernard Emmanuel, Binizopokwa Mwa, Elijah Pia Kubi, Emmanuel Do, Felix Gamo, Magnetre, Noah Lagede. I hope I've gotten the names right. Nyame William and my own Vanessa Nelson Abba. Thank you all for coming. Next week, yeah.
Okay. The survey result has still not come.
Yeah. I think there was a meeting on the results last week or so. And so be on the lookout. They will release it very soon. Because that of the sandwich students has been released. So very soon they will release yours.
Okay, sir.
Yo. And yeah, may God be with all of you till next week when we meet. Bye-bye.
So, sir, how was the results of the survey?
Well, I don't have the results readily with me.
Okay.
So I cannot speak to it.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.